Welcome back to the channel, gang. We got a little bit of a different one right now. We're going to rebuild what's left of this 14 by 22 block garage that the roof got smashed by that giant maple tree you can see there. It landed like 2 yards over. It was a gable roof framed up on an old slant back. You can kind of see where the old rafters were pocketed in there. I'll show you what I was dealing with before I removed everything. You can see right where that limb landed. The limb was cleaned up before I got there, but it definitely did its damage. Took out the gabled roof. I got that out of the way, and that left the slant back. That was all the old sheathing for the old slant back roof. But I got it all cleaned up. I took the door down to be reused. Got everything hauled out in a dumpster. Masons came in, put new block in, and made it all level. You can see the 3 courses of block in the back, because they brought it up to make it all level so we weren't dealing with that slant back situation again. Since we're building on block, we're going to treat this just like a room addition. Gets a 8-inch sill seal down first, then a 2x8 treated plate going on top. Treated plate will go all the way around, get bolted down with the 1/2-inch J-bolts that the masons put in when they put the block in. And drill them all out, lay it out, and get ready for joists and rafters. Goes a lot quicker when you don't have walls to build. I'm totally gonna break my wrist doing this.
Almost. Almost.
Here's the first round of joist installation. I like to put them in at 4 feet apart, just to hold all the walls together while we put the roof on. Then I come back through and put them in at every 2 feet. It's just easier to work around when they're at 4 feet and not at 2 feet. It gives me a little space because I'm getting a little chunky in my old age, you know. Alright, one more. A last check of my math. Make sure my rafter figuring was right, because I think this garage was like 14 feet 5 inches wide and like 22 feet 4 inches deep. So I had to do a little bit of, kind of extra figuring on everything here, but got them laid out, started stacking them, getting them all squared away so I could make all the cuts, and then we could start moving on to setting the ridge. guess it's time to get the ceiling joists and rafters nailed together. I'll get an angle brace up here and probably up front. And then I think we're going to frame in the new header and work on getting the wall done. Maybe. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out together. Well, I just spent about a half hour trying to plumb these walls. Well, plumb the ridge to these gable walls here. I had to run the whole thing back about 1.5 inches that way, and everything was fighting me, which makes me think this is all out of square. I had a feeling this wasn't very square, the block, and we're really going to find out when we start throwing OSB added up top. But before we get there, we're going to demo this front and try to start rebuilding it somehow. I don't even know if I have the right material for it, but let's see. So I made the executive decision to leave all of the existing trim that was on the sides and across the top, as you can see here. The trim on the sides was bolted in with J-bolts, and I didn't want to cut them out and remove the trim because I would have had no other choice but to go back with the Tapcon. I don't think it was going to hold well. All this trim fit really well. It was in good shape. So here you can see I'm screwing the top door trim into the header. Everything was good. We went with it. It worked out well in the end. Ran some 3-inch GRK structural screws in to draw everything up and anchor everything really well. And then I did go ahead and nail it off before installing all of my cripple studs here that go the top door trim and the 2x8 sill plate. Well, it's not really a sill plate because it's on top of the wall, but you know what I mean. The 2x8 plate up top. So that filled out the whole 8 inches wide with the two 2x12s for the header, and then the 2x4s on the outside for the cripples. After the door opening was all framed up, it was just a matter of getting my gable studs in. I got the front gable studs in, and then I got the whole rear gable closed up, and then it was time to move on to the overhang over the front door. Colloquially, I guess we call it an eyebrow, and you'll see that coming up in about 2 seconds here. Alright, we're on to the next morning, and let me show you what I've been working on here. I made myself a little pattern. Don't even know if you guys can see, but this is for the overhang roof. I have 27-inch joists, and I have blah 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 inch rafters that are going to sit like that. This will sit above the 2x10 and butt into our header. This will come up underneath the treated plate, and then these go along the stud. Fascia will be out here, but I got all my measurements and marked it out on this piece of OSB, figured out all my degrees. Let me show you where that gets us. So this is what I have at the moment. This was kind of my mock-up to make sure everything works. Just threw it in with some deck screws to hold it in case I needed to back them out. But I think it's good, and I think it's going to stay there, and we're going to run some big screws in it. I had to put an angle brace on and run it up to that rafter there to get this one squared up to the front of the garage. Then I got a measurement from the top to the top, put a fascia on, duplicated that measurement down there, so the whole thing is squared up. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but then I got a layout. So now all we have to do is build up the rest of these trusses and install them here. Everything should fall right into place, and then this is basically done. I'll probably get this actually completely done and this gable closed in. All that really leaves me is sheathing the roof and throwing fascias at it. So let's make the rest of these, get them installed, and we'll go on from there. What's that?
You ever put a rope on an edger?
I just tried putting a rope on my power washer the other day and it didn't go too well. Did the pull start break? It's gotta be close. Cut that off. Boom, baby. After fast forwarding, we got the yard side sheathed. Oh, I didn't bother setting up the camera. You guys have seen me do this 1,000 times, and if you haven't, go check out one of those videos. This side is a different story, though, because we are pinned right up against a fence on the other side of that wall. So I'm going to attempt to get this first row in from inside by going up the ladder, pulling it up, flipping it over, pulling it back to my chalk line, and attempting to nail it. It's probably not going to work, but I'm just stupid and stubborn enough to attempt it. So let's see what happens.
Place your bets, folks. Already regretting this. Oh, come on. There you go. That was ugly. Sketchy, terrifying. Almost failed for a minute, but that wouldn't have worked out well for anybody. So we're going to try it again. Trying to give you the best seat in the house for this debacle. Pending disaster. That was way better. That was so much better. We're going to try this last 5-foot sheet in that fashion.
Those 8-footers don't quite make it, but we'll make that work. I know the guy doing the metal work. Look at that guy. Well, facia's on. That was not fun. And no, my fat butt did not put that dent in the fence. And I think we are framed. I got some more studs above the header there, kind of holding nothing, but it looks good. I got a 2x6 going across to come out to meet the old 2x6s there for the jam. I put a block in. I screwed that in case the door guys don't want that there. I can't recall how the spring was attached. Man, my brain ain't working right now. Well, it's Monday morning, and I'm back here. Friday was spent rounding up material. some of that material happens to be this stuff. And then I got word that the roofing crew is indisposed at the moment, so guess what I'm doing now? Yep. We gotta throw these shingles down, which shouldn't take too long. I think I remember how to do this. Let's get some drip edge down, throw some shingles down. Alright, we got the first side done. I miscounted when I brought these up here. I haven't done this in so long, I forgot how square shingles worked, so I brought another 3 up. And I shingled this part on this side first so I could throw them up there and not have to move them. Because if you throw them on the felt, then you end up having to move them half the time. But we're going to go after this side, and then we'll get the cap on. We should be done up here. We'll move on to the siding. They say it's cool and dry today, but I say it's hot and sweaty, and it's only like 9 o'clock. Okay, well, I apparently double tapped the GoPro when I was doing this cap, so you don't get any video of that. But up top is done, and we're gonna get ready to hop down. I don't know if I'm gonna work on that front overhang, meaning that front overhang, or if I'm gonna start working on some siding and wait till the overhang's out of the sun. But started the cap to the front and ran that way because our prevailing winds come this way. Just a little added incentive to not blow off the roof. But these are Owens Corning shingles, and I don't think I've ever had a callback on Owens Corning, even if we've laid them in, I don't know, like the middle of February. Probably about the best shingles out there. I'm sure some people would disagree, but I really like these. So now I'm getting off this roof, and we're gonna find something else to do, because there's plenty to do on this job still. Don't fall off the roof is #1 priority. You see that? Well, I'm keeping up my streak of being the absolute worst channel on YouTube. I shingled that without the camera rolling. Sometimes I forget I'm trying to make a video, and all I'm trying to do
in my head is work and get done, but that's done. I mean, honestly, you guys didn't miss anything. I think we're gonna start bending some eave fascias and then move on from there. I'll try to remember you guys this time. I'm very forgetful. I appreciate you guys. I'm very forgetful. Okay. Here's my rake boards, but I'm not running those first, so knock out the rest of these and then we'll hopefully start installing. Alright, for better or worse, how I like to do it is to wrap the first eave fascia around the corner onto the rake board. And we just do that by snipping out 1.5 inches, and then we just bend it basically by hand. Helps if you make a clean cut. Close enough. That's about it. Let's go install this. Alright, I think I got my little returns figured out there.
Soffit's all taken care of. The soffit probably should have been ran that way, but that's the way the framing was, so I would have had to block it. Oh, I don't know. I'm not a sider. Gotta do those rake boards still. But it's getting late, and I've got to meet my boy at home because I think we need to work on the brakes on his car. So I got to get out of here and do that. Still have to do a little bit of metal work, so we're leaving that. Hopefully tomorrow we'll get it all knocked out, get the siding up, but I don't know. I got something to show you. Check this out. The neighbor next door said he had like 40 boxes of these things, and he didn't know what they were for. I don't know where he acquired them, but he gave me a bunch of trim nails. A bunch of different colors. We got herringbone and granite gray, cream. Oh, I don't know. Brown, some kind of hickory or something. So I got a whole bunch of these, so my kids will definitely be inheriting those because I ain't never going to use them all. So that's neat. So, all right, I'm packing up. I will catch you guys in the morning. All right, well, going through all the clips of the siding actually being installed, I'm going to spare you guys because they were terrible. I once again forgot to run the camera on the front, which would have been the smart thing to do. So when I went to the back, I had the camera on super mega ultra wide angle lens or whatever it was just to be able to see because the camera was right next to the gable. But there you go. That's what it looked like when I got it all done. So the siding is all done, and I got the front completely done. It actually turned out pretty well on that eyebrow there. I wasn't sure exactly how I was going to make it work because if you put too many trim boards up, you were going to not have any siding in that gable. But I think it turned out pretty good. You can see right here. All right, so I know no one stuck around this long. This was an oddball job, but we got it all done, and time to move on to the next one.